This is a game called The Aquatic Games, starring James Pond. You get it because it's James Pond. He's a fish, thus The Aquatic Games. On the cover, we have like this weird humanoid frog, a seal, which, I don't normally hope for this, but I wish that one was clubbed to death as a baby. We have like these scientists, penguins in lab coats. I guess they're the ones coming up with these freakish human-animal hybrids. The hero of the tale, the guy in the yellow shirt, looks like some kind of humanoid ant. It's like The Fly, only it's like the ant. God, what is he? Is he James Pond? Is he like a man-fish of some sort? Why is he wearing gloves like Mickey Mouse? It doesn't even look like a fish if that's James Pond, but again, it doesn't look like anything aquatic. It looks like an ant, whatever. Now, we have all these little options, but we can do everything in the practice option because basically the practice section has all the games. They just don't follow a story or they just don't follow a linear whatever. You can just play all the games and try them out and see how awful the game is, and then you can put it away within 10 minutes of playing. Let's try the 100-meter splash. Now, I have played all these games before, and they're all horrible. First of all, there's this little running thing, and I just tap buttons. I'm tapping A and B, and I'm fucking running. There we go. I'm tapping, and I'm running. This is the game. Now, once I get into the water, it gets a little confusing. I don't know what to do here, because somewhere here, he just stops, and I have to do a different combination of button taps. So, a little mini game where button tapping, just in the middle, without any warning, nothing pops up, you just have to switch up and do a different button tapping combination. So, it doesn't make any sense, and there, I guess James Pond loses. I don't know why, but yeah, he lost. I guess the timer ran out, whatever. This game sucks. I mean, everything in this game sucks. This game as a whole sucks, but this mini game sucks. Kipper watching. Let's try that out. So now you're that seal, and instead of getting a kiss from a rose, you have to bounce little volleyballs on your head, and if too many drop down, or like too many like kill your green friends, whatever, make them run off, you lose the game. Ugh. Just ugh. I have to give this game credit on one factor, and that's the graphics. These are good graphics, but again, this is 16-bit, this is Sega Genesis. You expect pretty good graphics like this from the Sega Genesis back when this game came out. Let's try this game now. Another running game. Just, yeah, tapping buttons. You're a frog now. You're running. Oh, you're supposed to jump there. I tried pressing every button here. I'm gonna try this again, but last time I played, I tried pressing everything. It just doesn't jump. Whatever you do, I assume there's some kind of weird button combination where it's forward in something or up in something, or you just have to reach like your power meter and then he drops it automatically. Honestly, I don't care because it's not worth my time. I'm not reading a 5-page instruction manual to play a crappy little mini game like that. The bouncy castle. Let's play that. This is where you bounce on like SpongeBob SquarePants. You have to hit the pink shells, and I guess those wipe your bottom or something. Yeah. That would be a Demolition Man reference. The timer here is longer than all the other timers in all the other games, probably combined, because all the other games take like 10 seconds and you lose. This game, it finishes in 2 minutes, and you have 2 minutes to jump as high as you can. You have to press the jump button subsequently right when you're about to touch down on the purple cheese like thing, and that makes you jump higher, and I guess the higher you go, the more score you get because you touch more shells and that stuff. When you spin, you can do a little spin in the air, but that just screws up your jump and it makes you fall down. You don't seem to get much style points or anything for that. That's just like a little thing to screw up your jump. I don't know why they implemented that, but we're just gonna tediously keep jumping and jumping. They're really like proud of their jumping mechanics since they made this the longest minigame in the game. But again, this is something that just should be good in the game. You know, the jumping should be good in the game. It seems like they're just showing off the one good thing in the game, the jumping mechanic. Yay! Just keep jumping about over and over, and yeah, that's the whole game. this is not even a mini game, you know. This is just something that should be part of a good platformer, but it shouldn't be a mini game, you know. It just should be something intrinsic in a platformer that you use to get further. Yeah, so yeah, I guess I lost because my score wasn't high enough, or this game just isn't good enough. Let's be honest. I didn't lose. The game lost because it sucks. Now this is a minigame that's actually good by this game's standards. Anywhere else this would be below mediocre, but here they got it down. For one thing, you're supposed to basically collect like fish food and then feed it to the fish, and if one of the fish touches those weird spinny things, or I guess more than one, you lose or whatever, the timer runs out. I'm not... You know, it's a little nonsensical, but what's good about this game is the controls. You can just hold down the feed button and you automatically drop as much food as you can. You don't need to keep tapping the A button like those crazy running levels and just put calluses all over your hands. And also, even when you're collecting the food, you can just hold a button and collect the food. So this game is easy to play. It's still strategy, but it's easy to play. Of course, what it suffers from is the same thing all the other games suffer from, is it's nonsensical. Like, what are those spinning, like, Cheerios on the rope? Like, what? Those aren't, like, hooks or anything. What is that? And, like, when a fish eats one of them, or, like, gets, like, sucked up by one of them, it just gets, like, flung up in the air. I don't know, are those UFOs, or just, like, fishermen, or... Like, what happens? Why do I lose when that happens? The little fish is all gone. It's just nonsensical, but again, the controls and the ease of play is what makes this probably the best game in this game. Anywhere else, this would just be a piece of crap game, but in this game, it's above mediocre, because mediocre in this game is horrible. Let's try shell shooting. Okay, so I played this before, and you jump on these shells. But oftentimes you just kind of trip on them, and I don't know why, but yeah, you can just jump on them and they turn to bugs. This is another game that's just nonsensical. You'll see why. It seems pretty simple now. Sometimes they turn to bugs, sometimes they pop up, and you have this little bowl which sometimes catches them, and sometimes it bounces off of them. I don't know why. I don't know what anything means, really. I can't keep up with any of this. Sometimes they hit the balloon, sometimes they don't, sometimes they trip you, sometimes they don't, sometimes they fly to the side, sometimes they fly up. I don't know. It's crazy. It doesn't follow human logic. I don't know what they were thinking here. It's just... Basically, this is a jump around like a maniac game and hope your score goes high enough to pass it. Yeah, not fun at all. Let's try Tour de Grace. I'm guessing this is a running game. Yeah, most of these are just running. This is actually not a running game. It's a racing thing, but you don't race. You just kind of jump on that little wheel. In this game, as far as I remember, sometimes sometimes you see the power meter went up, but I didn't do anything. Like, I keep periodically just spamming A and B, sometimes C. I keep pressing, like, forward or up or back sometimes. None of that does anything. But sometimes the power meter goes up. I don't know if it's when I'm going down a cliff. I don't know if, like, I'm supposed to roll down, because it doesn't really give me the option to do any of that, and it doesn't really explain itself. That's the biggest problem with these games, is they don't explain themselves. It doesn't tell you if I win by collecting the little butterflies, if I win by going as fast as possible, by stepping on as many of these weird, like, rubber or lobsters as possible. It's just, again, too confusing and simply not fun. It's just basic in terms of gameplay, but just too fucked up in terms of what the hell is going on. Yay, the finish line. I have hopped my way to the finish line. Good. Look at me. I have good news, however. There's only one game left, and we're done with this. We're done with this boring, nonsensical nonsense. Leapfrog. Let's play it. Now in this game, you play as a frog. Who guess, yes, just like most of the other games in this game, you race. But at least now, you can actually jump. This is an actual game. You spam the A or B button, and then you can jump with C. You see, there's actual strategy involved. You don't just spam the buttons, you actually jump over obstacles. It makes sense. The problem here is it's really hard to time your jump because you're running really fast, and sometimes there's like two obstacles together, like two little puddles together, and you don't know if you're supposed to jump over both of them or jump in the middle of them. And it's just basically you're going too fast to know what's gonna happen in front of you, and it's just hard. It's a hard game, and you know, you wouldn't expect anything less from this game, because overall this entire game is a solid 2 out of 10. It's just not worth your time, but it is worth us watching it and just waxing nostalgic over games of old. So thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends. Stay tuned for another awful game review. Try it out for yourself. You'll see how bad it is. Love you all. Except the baby seals. If it's a baby seal watching this video, I hate you. This is CSI New York. I haven't played this game before. All I did was just type my name in. This is obviously a game based on the hit TV show, CSI New York. So we're gonna do a live review, let's play sort of thing, and see if this game's any good or not. Let's do it. Alright, I can't wait. I can't wait to be a detective and solve crimes. Select episode 1 to begin your investigation as Detective Mac Taylor. Okay, let's do it. I know who ate the apple. It was the rat. Case closed. Oh, shit! Tell my wife I have too many tattoos. Won't get fooled again. No, we're gonna skip this. No. Yeah, we saw that before. So,
Ooh, Mac, I'm glad you're here. It's a messy scene with a lot going on, but I'll let you draw your own conclusions after you look around a bit.
Alright, thanks, generic policeman. So how do I look around? Maybe I just close this here? Photos of potential evidence will slowly come into focus on the bottom of the screen. Click on those items when you find them in the scene. Relevant evidence you collect will remain in your inventory. So wait, photos of potential evidence will appear here slowly, and all I have to do is find it in this. So basically this game does the detective work for me? Well, okay, let's see here. What is the first thing I need to check out in the crime scene? Maybe it's the garbage can. Oh, I know! Perhaps the dead corpse! Take photographs by clicking on identifying characteristics of the victim. Okay.
Better take photos of everything unusual before they clean up this mess.
Okay, what's unusual here? I guess his hair. They didn't have flat tops in ancient Rome! I don't know, I guess his, sweatpants, like, you don't go jogging shirtless if you have that many tattoos. I don't know. Okay, it's weird that his hands are covered in blood. I think what happened was he was doing some sick sexual role-playing. He was pretending to be a cat, and he was scratching at a guy in a gimp suit. And the guy in the gimp suit, he drew blood from the scratching. He pushed this guy out the window. This case is closed. Yeah! Won't get fooled again! Where do I go to file this case under close? Where do I click? Alright, I guess let's take a photo. Why not? This is all unnecessary because I already know what happened, as I've stated. But let's take the photo of the hand, photo of his face. Gorgeous. Photo of his crotch. No, not his crotch. Photo of this. Nope. So wait a minute. I could take as many photos as I want, right? So I could just click all around the screen until I hit it. Look, I can literally click everywhere. There's no limit to how many photos I can take. Alright, let's see a hint. Use the camera and click on the victim's face, tattoos, and fingertips. Well, I clicked on his tattoos.
Something for your photo album?
Yeah. I mean, I clicked on his tattoos before. I guess I clicked on the wrong place.
We'll need all the king's men on this Humpty Dumpty.
We'll need all the king's men on this? What is that? Whatever. Don't care. Doesn't matter. Solved crime. Alright. Ah, yes. The trash can! I knew it! It was the trash can with a chainsaw in the study. This murder is solved. Okay, I don't know what I just picked up. The peace sign. It was a gang of roaming hippies. Of course. A pretzel. This pretzel has to have something to do with a murder. Like, what the fuck? A rubber fucking ducky. Really? A rubber ducky? I need to pick up a rubber ducky. Alright. Okay. Really, I needed that. I needed to pick up... Alright, let's go for a hint. I don't know. We're just picking up trash off the street. It has nothing to do with the murder. Was his murderer a 3-year-old child that dropped his rubber ducky? If not, I see no point in picking up a fucking rubber ducky. Is this the work of the rubber ducky assassin? The great serial killer of the 2000s? The new son of Sam? So apparently the killer is such an awful murderer, he literally leaves it... Like, how dumb do you have to be to leave a bracelet at a murder scene? Like, the killer would literally have to kill a person, then take off his bracelet and leave it next to the body. Why doesn't the killer just snap a photo of him, like, laying on the body and post it on Instagram? Fuck! Come on! You're making this too easy, game. The hint button must be fully charged before it can be used. It is fully charged. Fuck off. Okay. Ah, yes. A spoon. Of course. The killer was having soup during the murder. Makes perfect sense. I mean, I feel like we have enough now to make a case against the rubber ducky serial killer. I mean, literally, I don't see any problem with just clicking on everything until I have all the clues. You know, it's like, at least there should be some kind of thing where you can only pick up 5 items on the screen, and if you pick up more, it's game over or something. So this is, I guess, a mini-game where I have to draw an outline around the blood, and this, I guess, gets the blood. Although, in reality... all you would have to do is just, like, swab the blood. Why do you need to go around the perimeter of the blood to swab? It makes no sense. It's just tedious, like, busy work. Because this isn't what it would be like to swab some blood from a crime scene in real life. You would just dip it in the blood. I mean, you can swab around it, but you don't need to go around the circumference of the blood. Why am I doing this? I'm skipping this bullshit. There, sample collected. I don't have time for this, Gary Sinise. I don't have time for this. Don't you understand? My time is precious here. Alright, I'm not gonna, like... I skipped a bunch of me picking up random crap. Like, I clicked a bunch of random stuff. Because we don't need to do this. We don't need to see the entire thing in this video. It's just clicking a bunch of crap that's on the screen.
You were right about the mess. What do you make of it?
It was the potted plant that killed him. The plants are fighting back.
Lethal dose of gravity meets pavement. Don't know quite what to make of the guy in his PJs. Considering the mess, it was obviously quite a fall, but this guy's missing the MO of a jumper.
So the guy fell off a building, so us picking up all the completely unnecessary things, like the rubber ducky, a peace sign on the wall somewhere, and the potted plant, that was all for naught. That had nothing to do with this murder. It was all like on ground level, and the guy jumped off somewhere. There's no point to any of this. Again, just clicking...
Might be pretty important to look
I'm
at.
not solving anything.
The distinctive logo might mean something.
Yeah, it might. But I'm not solving anything here. I'm just... like, this is how I do it. I click this, and I drag it over here.
I don't know what to make of it either. It's some sort of ultra-light fabric.
It's just like kind of a semi-interactive story. I don't feel like I'm being a detective at all. I'm not solving shit. I mean, in the beginning, I literally had to pick up everything in the crime scene. Most of it had nothing to do with the crime scene whatsoever. It's like the worst case of click everything until it works. This game is basically like when your DVD player doesn't work. You just hit it a bunch of times until it finally works or doesn't. Okay, so that's solved now. I drag the picture over and we move on to the next sequence. So what can you tell me about this naked man? What do you think about his abs? He's in pretty good shape. maybe a little too good a shape. Think about that.
If there's a point to showing me that, let me know. Otherwise, it's bringing back my lunch. Take a look at the pads of his fingers. See how they're torn? We call skin tears like that.
In that case, might be a window somewhere up there with blood stains, matching those skin tears.
It really is ridiculous. I just click on everything possible, and then the story
Probably.
progresses with or without me.
Problem is, you'll have to...
I don't have time for doing basic math, so I'm skipping this little thing. I did it. Yay.
Obviously a big basketball fan.
Perhaps too big a basketball fan. I'm gonna need to question this man because he just might be the basketball serial killer.
Hey, you can't just barge in here.
You don't understand. I'm Gary Sinise. I can do whatever I want. Again, the same thing. I'm talking to someone trying to get further with the story. There's no thinking involved. It literally shows me what I need to focus on in the conversation. I click it. It doesn't matter what he said. Look, we don't need to see that. It doesn't matter. We click this stuff.
Yeah, said his name was Flack.
We skip it. We click this stuff.
Sheer size.
We skip it.
The proverbial needle in a haystack.
And the story continues.
Our only saving
That's
grace
all.
is that we have cameras
don't
all
need
over this
We
thing.
literally
We
don't
have a
need to
system
follow
that
the
helps
story.
us organize it
That's
all.
how
I
completely
use it to watch
idiotic
everything
this
that goes
game
on.
is. It's ridiculous. And what now?
Oh,
We
yeah.
drag
Homeland
shit to
Security
him.
gave us some sort of facial
Click
recall
OK.
software.
Next.
Your computer.
Exactly.
Next. No, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he's saying. It doesn't matter. The game does all the thinking for us. All we have to do is the manual work of dragging things to the guy, and then play some mini games once in a while. This is the dumbest detective concept for a detective game I've ever seen in my life. There is zero detective work. It's an interactive story with some mini games. I mean, for a game called CSI New York, not to have any actual detective work is ridiculous. Let's see that again. We go here, and then we click on the things we already took pictures of. So, his hands, click on that, blah, blah, blah. Click the picture again, his face.
What I'm about to show you is pretty...
Skip, doesn't matter. The skin color, kind of darker, so it's like that. But these eyes are blue. We need kind of brown eyes. He's my brown-eyed victim. So a minigame that would actually be kind of fun is tedious because you have to be exactly right, like with everything. There's like, I guess, an exact perfect match. And I mean, that's close enough. You know, it's never going to be like this. So that's CSI New York, the game. A bunch of crappy minigames that are just like little throwaway flash games. And then a stupid little story that you barely do anything in. Scratch that. You don't do anything in. You just drag a bunch of things and click a bunch of things without even thinking. So in terms of being a good detective game, this is not. In terms of being a hidden object game, it's not either. Because there's no way you can fail. You just click everything. I don't see a timer anywhere. You click everything until everything is collected. The only feasible place you will have problems in this game is the mini-games. For example, this mini-game, I have to get the face down perfectly or else it won't let me progress. But really, it's just tedious busy work because the way I can do this is click every single possible option until it fits perfectly. There's no timer here either. I keep clicking it until I get it. It's stupid. A monkey can be a detective in this game, so I don't quite like this. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends. Look at this. I'm playing as a giant red monster, and I'm getting my ass kicked by a 7-year-old peasant boy. How embarrassing. This is Shaq Fu for the Sega Genesis, and this is a really bad fighting game. Now, I know a lot of people reviewed this game, and I've seen a lot of those reviews over the years. The reason I'm making this review is I was very surprised that a lot of the reviews I saw, they missed some very fine points about this game that really need to be said. For instance, playing this game with strategy will get you killed. Here I am trying to use this monster's strategy. I'm trying to beat this little boy with special moves and with with proper timing and strategy, and it's just not working. If you try to do that, you will get your ass kicked 9 times out of 10. That is not how you play Shaq Fu, and I'll show you how to do that after we evaluate the story. So the story of the game is Shaquille O'Neal is in downtown Tokyo, and he sees a kung fu dojo, and obviously being a professional basketball player, he's all about kung fu, so he goes in there. You know, let's just laugh at the horrendous premise of making a fighting game with a basketball player. Why not make a kayaking game with a pool player? A football game with a jouster, you know? What is this? Let's make a cricket game with a baseball player. What the fuck? Really? But that's not the game's biggest problem, okay? Let's go on with the story. Basically, this old guy is telling Shaquille O'Neal that he has to go save this kid in another dimension. And Shaquille O'Neal's like, yeah, alright, I'll do it. You know, which is kind of weird, but what's even weirder is the old guy points Shaquille O'Neal to the back room, which looks basically like a porta potty with a lot of boxes in it, and Shaquille O'Neal just goes in there under the presumption that it's a portal to another dimension. Does that look like a fucking portal to another dimension? It looks like Shaquille O'Neal is about to get fucking held down by a bunch of thugs and his shoes stolen. Jesus Christ, Shaquille O'Neal, you're lucky that actually was a portal and this guy wasn't trying to kidnap you and hold you for ransom. Fucking hell. What is this game teaching kids? If a creepy old man asks you to go in the back room where there's like a bunch of dirty, empty storage boxes, you should do it? The basic overworld is you go to different parts of this fantasy world map and you fight people in those parts, and then new places open up for you to go to, and you have to basically beat everyone up in every kingdom to pass the game. Now the combat is very difficult, like I said, if you do things by the book, if you're trying to do specials, if you're playing this like a good fighting game. That's not how you do it. You should say by book, like McBain, and do things cheaply, because that's the only way to pass this game. Now this enemy is giving me a little trouble, but if you notice, it's not as hard as a lot of other people that reviewed and played this game. And that's because I'm using one main strategy, Shaquille O'Neal's stepping sidekick. Shaquille O'Neal's stepping sidekick is really the only attack you need in this game, and you can beat most of the enemies fairly easily with the stepping sidekick. It's not always guaranteed you're gonna win because the game is still difficult as shit, but you will most of the time. You jump over the enemy and you time yourself just right, and then you spam the stepping sidekick. Why is this such a great move? Well, there's two reasons. Number one, it's really fast, so you can actually execute the move while your enemy, say, is executing a move at the same time. You simply hit first, and you can spam that over and over. But also, because it's a stepping sidekick, you can constantly move forward, and that's perfect, because most of the enemies have projectiles. A lot of enemies throw swords at you. A lot of enemies move away from you really fast. They jump over you. So the stepping sidekick basically is not just a way to hit someone, it's also a way to get close to someone really fast. It's better than running. In fact, never run forward at an enemy. You can jump over an enemy, but never run forward, because that will just get a sword thrown directly at your chest. It's pointless, it's unnecessary, and like I said, the stepping sidekick really is the only way to maneuver on the ground without constantly getting berated and raped by projectile enemy attacks. So now that you know the game really isn't that hard, is it better for it? Fuck no, it's not better. It's worse for it. There's nothing worse in a fighting game where there's one move that you could spam over and over and defeat most of the enemies with complete ease. That's not my idea of a good fighting game. That's my idea of a glitchy fighting game that's cheap and not fun to play. I'm just completely destroying this guy with my stepping sidekick. There's nothing he can do. It's fucking pathetic. And if I try to fight him without being cheap, with using special moves and moves that aren't the stepping sidekick, I will surely get my ass kicked. Why? Well, number one, the enemies are incredibly hard if I'm not being cheap. And number two, there's a delay to the actions. Now, I can't speak for Shaq Fu on other systems, but on the Sega Genesis, there is a clear delay. It's very clear. Okay, I gotta cut in the middle of my rant here. Look at the way Shaquille O'Neal is talking to this woman. Where is Set Ra? Your magic can't hurt me, girlfriend. What the fuck? When did he turn into a black woman in a beauty shop? Who the fuck talks like that? Is he Tyler Perry? Waving his finger in her face? This is like a fucking cat fight. Jesus Christ, Shaquille O'Neal. Is Shaquille O'Neal on the down low? Is that what this game's trying to tell us? I'll tell you what's on the down low. Is the fucking controls of this game. Like I said, there's a delay. They're unresponsive. A lot of times when you try to do a special, if it even works, there'll be a huge delay. And while you're trying to do a special, say down, back, and C, the enemy will hit you like twice and interrupt you trying to do a special. So doing a big convoluted conjured attack that requires a lot of buttons to execute, it's pointless in this game. You need speed. You need to do things right away. Every single attack has to be quicker than your enemy. Speed kills. As we saw in the beginning, where a fucking 2-year-old boy was killing a 10-foot tall giant lava monster. Why? Because he was faster. The truth is, even though the stepping sidekick is really cheap, and you just keep spamming it over and over, and you will beat a lot of enemies that way, the game is still incredibly hard. So even though you might walk through the first 4 or 5 enemies, the later enemies will destroy you. Some enemies are just too powerful to be beaten with a cheap spamming of the same attack over and over. Some enemies have projectiles that are incredibly tough. Like this old dude, he shoots these incredibly powerful Hadokens at you that take off a ton of your life. And he's also really fast. So he will kick your ass. This is where basically the game gets pretty tough. You might beat him a few times, but ultimately this guy will just destroy you. Honestly, there's actually some inconsistency with the enemy's difficulties. You might fight like 2 enemies that are pretty easy, and then you fight an enemy that's incredibly hard, and then you fight another enemy that's kind of easy. So it's really inconsistent and weird in that regard. But nonetheless, some enemies are just way too powerful, and their attacks are way too strong to even be beaten with the cheap stepping sidekick tactic. Ultimately, this game is unplayable. If you play it with normal tactics, like a good fighting game, you will lose to everyone. If you play it cheaply, it's not going to be fun, it's still going to be hard in terms of fighting some enemies. So, you lose by fighting cheap because the game isn't fun, and you'll still lose to the harder enemies, and you lose by fighting normally with tactics because you always lose. It's a lose-lose situation. You lose if you play this game, period. But you know what? I need to be a little more objective. There is one good thing about this game. Okay, 2 good things. Number 1, this chick. I mean, she's super hot, and her clothing is totally falling off. It's awesome. And number 2, the graphics actually aren't bad. Now, the controls, obviously, mixed with the delay, makes the game so frustrating you won't even care about what it looks like. But the game actually does look good. All the sprites look fantastic, the colors are awesome, the backgrounds are interesting, and the world, while it's convoluted and weird, it's still a pretty interesting concept. Saying all that, the most important thing in a fighting game is the actual gameplay. You know, the fighting. And that's where this game fails. And that's why it's an awful, awful Sega Genesis game. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends. Gee Willikers, Mr. A Mario game? Why, this is gonna be fun! No, it isn't, kids. It's an educational game. So the story is Mario turns red, presumably because he's embarrassed to be in this mess of a game. And then this green saber-toothed tiger throws a bag over his head and fucking throws it back up on the hill without any arms and just keeps moving it like that, telepathically, I guess. And Luigi goes to save Mario. Yeah, I mean, well, you don't expect a good story from a Mario game. Basically, even the good Mario games are about saving someone in a really contrived and one-dimensional way, but the reason this game is bad isn't because of the story, believe me. It's because of the gameplay. The game starts off with the same basic controls as a Mario game, and it makes you think this is a game in the Mario universe. Maybe it's called Mario is Missing because basically you just play as Luigi, but it basically has the same exact functionalities as a Mario game. You jump on enemies, you, avoid obstacles. No, this is an educational game. It's a game that teaches you about stuff. You have to kill enemies in this game, and then you pick up these little things, you pick up King Kong, for example, and you have to return King Kong to the Empire State Building, and apparently that teaches you about movies and history and geographical locations. But my problem is, well, I have a lot of problems with this game, but my problem is, probably the main problem with this game, okay, you want to make an educational game, that's fine, make an educational game. But why in the green fucking hell would you make an educational game on the Nintendo? Here's what I mean. When I was in elementary school, I did not play educational games in school on the Nintendo or Super Nintendo or Genesis. When we went to computer class, this was in the mid-90s, we would play educational games on the PC. There is no school existed on the planet Earth that had a Nintendo system for each kid in a classroom to play educational games. Schools did not buy educational games on the Nintendo because they didn't have Nintendos at school. They had computers, some schools. Now, this leads me to my next line of thought. What was the market for this game? Was it homeschool children? Like, parents would buy these games to homeschool their children? And if that's the case, what a small market! I mean, how many people actually bought this game to teach something to their children? How many people would even know this is an educational game? Mario's in the title. Mario is notorious for being probably the most famous side-scroller on Earth. I mean, 99% of the people, 99.9% of the people who bought this game bought it under false pretenses. This game was bought by children who were lured into thinking this was going to be a fun side-scroller, or at least something to the extent of what a Mario game is supposed to be, and this is nothing like Mario. This isn't even a fun educational game. I mean, I can't even think of, maybe some kind of word games can be fun, you know. Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego for the CD-ROM could have been fun at some points. This isn't fun! You just kill these, what do they call it, Koopa Troopers? I'm just gonna call them fucking orange turtles. And then you collect things from them, and then you give the things to these clerks, to these fucking medical kiosks. And that's it! That's not even educational, it's tedious, because you have to know which of the kiosks take which items, and really, the education goes out the window. Especially since how many things can you possibly learn? Like, you learn, like, where King Kong goes on the Empire State Building. How the fuck is that even educational? And even if it is educational, that's just something you should just learn. Just fucking write it in a sentence in the beginning of a game. You want your game to be educational? Just write, King Kong lives on top of the Empire State Buildings. And then let the kids play a good fucking game. Please. Jesus Christ. Don't take up a whole Mario game to teach children something as mundane and pointless and unnecessary as this and basically any other thing you learn in this game. You're not gonna learn anything in this game that you're gonna use in life. And if you are, it's gonna be something you'll use in like trivia games while you're playing trivia games with like friends or something. You know, if you're like if you're married and it's like couples night and you're playing trivia. What building did King Kong climb? That was the Empire State Building, Bob. I remember, I learned that in a Mario game. Gee willikers, Jeff, a Mario game? Aren't those games supposed to be fun? No, Bob, it was a shitty educational game. Well, in that case, Jeff, you're an asshole for playing it, and I'm sleeping with your wife, and all your children are actually mine. Thanks for watching, everyone. The Three Stooges is an incomprehensible mess of a game, and my new frontrunner for just the worst Nintendo game ever made. Now, as the game itself, it kind of reminds me of Virtual Bard, another horrible game in its own right that I reviewed for the Genesis. It reminds me of that game because in this game, there's basically like this Wheel of Fortune type deal where you have to land on a level and then you play it. And the problem with the game actually stems from the gameplay and the controls, because the controls are almost impossible to understand. I mean, you would have a better time trying to learn C++ in one day than learning these controls in one day. Serve pies to guests. Double pay for serving all pies. Look professional. Okay, so I guess we're gonna throw pies at guests, obviously. Now the problem with this game, and I played this a little bit before, is you have to control Three Stooges at the same time, but not only that, you have to actually control them by avoiding and throwing. So in essence, it's like doing 6 different things at the same time. I mean, the Nintendo controller was not made for this. It only has a few buttons. There's just way too much going on for even the controller to handle, let alone your brain. Let's try another game now. Once you're finished with one game, you get to choose another one. You can stop on it, or the little hand stops on its own. What's the game we're gonna play now? Now, when I played this game before, as prep, cracker eating. Okay, I remember this. You're supposed to like get crackers and eat them. Another horrible game, but at least the controls for this game you can understand them. One thing I never landed on is the boxing game for some reason. So you're playing as the fat, the fat of the Three Stooges, and you like what? What? I don't even know how to play. I mean, I get the controls, but like I take the spoonfuls of whatever those things are. I guess I'm not supposed to eat the clams because they're alive or something. The cooked clams became sentient, and now we're eating the soup therein. Why does he scream like that? What? If he's so scared of clam chowder, why does he eat it? Why didn't they get another stooge to eat? Now he just went insane and screamed even when he didn't touch anything. Just the broth from the soup made him go into an insane rage. I don't even know what the sound is. What emotion does that express? Fear? Anger? Frustration? Is he turned on? I don't know! Now, the trivia game is possibly the worst of all of them, because, I don't know how they fuck up controls in a simple game where you choose A, B, or C, but they did it. You see, in this game, you don't know what you're picking. Like, all the buttons are flashing. I don't know what I'm picking. Now, I actually learned how to do this, and this is incredibly ridiculous, but when one of the buttons continues to flash and the other two don't as you move your cursor, like the 2 buttons are supposed to stop flashing for a short amount of time, and the one button that isn't flashing, that's the one you're on at that moment. And of course, another thing about this game is you have to know really deep Three Stooges trivia. And what kid in the 80s knew Three Stooges trivia? I mean, really, like, obscure shit about the Three Stooges. That's insane! The great-grandparents of kids in the 80s watched the Three Stooges. Fucking kids in the 80s knew about Boy George and Breakfast Club. Not stuff from, like, the fucking beginning of the century, basically. Shit! And I know somebody's gonna say, they didn't begin in the beginning of the century. 1925 is when they started their vaudeville act. I'd say that's pretty close to the beginning of the fucking century. I mean, that was before the stock market crash. The first one, not the second one. Didn't I just play this? Why isn't there a limit on that random level choosing thing to stop you from choosing the same level over and over? I mean, you should be like, you play one level and then you can't play it for a few turns. It should gray out or something. This is ridiculous. People who bought this game are already unlucky, so obviously their horrible luck is gonna make them choose the same level over and over by accident. Okay, let's see what hell we're going to next. Which layer of hell? A dollar sign? Huh. Wait a minute. So, well, this is the kind of level I like. You don't have to do anything. You just win $250. I like that. Somebody just drops a sack of money and, hey, yeah, somebody will pick it up. Come on, big money. Oh, yeah. 2 mouse traps in a row. Now, there is a limited amount of time for you to do this, and there is a game over screen, so don't think you can just keep doing this over and over and just not making any real... Oh, for fuck's sake. Not making any real money in the levels. You have to be good at this game to pass it. If you just do the same level over and over and make a whole bunch of money like that way, it's not gonna work. Okay. Maybe I'll do better this time. What was wrong with that? I ate a regular thing. He didn't scream that time. So he eats one of those button things in the soup, and it's fine, and then he eats an identical one and he screams? I don't understand what's going on! Can Michael Corleone please come out of the bathroom and shoot this stooge in the neck, for God's sake? End my misery here! Okay, if this game has any decency, please don't let the next level be the trivia. I mean, all the levels suck, but the trivia, it's not even graphics, and it's fucked up controls and basic... Are you... No. No. That didn't just happen. Actually choosing A, B, or C. Forget about having a hard time to know where you stopped, A, B, or C, since they don't get highlighted, and I already explained how hard it is to actually know which one you chose. It's actually kind of hard to choose which one once you stop on one. It's like, it's a whole mechanic of using the left, right, and up button, and then pressing A or B. It's just, oh my god. Which stooge was a lifeguard as a teenager? In real life? The actor? The character? Was there an episode when they were teenagers or lifeguards? Or is this biography on the actual actor? I know there were several different actors playing the same stooge because some of the stooges actually died later on. It's like, let me just make that noise that fat stooge made. I finally understand what he's trying to express. Complete and utter insanity. His brain explodes because he knows what game he's in. Karoo! Karoo! Karoo, everyone! Karoo! Hey! Pie throwing again! It's like only 2 fucking little mini games in this game. It never stops on anything else. Jesus Christ. I don't even consider the trivia game a game. This time I'm just gonna go all out. I'm not gonna duck, just throw pies. Fuck you. I can't fucking control 6 different actions at once, alright? I'm not that fucking Indian god with 6 arms. I'm not a fucking octopus. Not that an octopus would be able to play this game because they have no opposable thumbs. And even if they did, they'd probably do as good as a human being because all you do is tap buttons randomly. Well, at least the Stooges had a good reason to make money. They were trying to save an orphanage. But you know what? I'm glad they didn't, because they would fuck that orphanage up. All those kids would come out murderers, hanging out with these assholes.